Good morning, everybody. Today I want to cover the four elements and how you get them from the Tao. The four elements. Yeah, this is the stone that the builder refused. The thesis of this website is that the reality of Yin and Yang, the four elements and the four elements, is the true foundation of science. So this is the holy grail of science, the unified theory, and it was rejected as the simplistic thinking of primitive people. The stone that the builder refused. Anyway, so the four elements is not that simple. It's a fractal tree. It's got the potential for a great deal of complexity built into it. This is the third level of reality, and there are four basic levels of reality, and they correspond to the four elements themselves. And so you can see that the fractal nature of reality begins to emerge as the four categorizes the higher levels and itself. And all the different parts of reality work together to provide context for each other. So if God is one, then by logic reality has to be constructed this way, with self-referential connections, because, well, reality is based on just one thing. Anyway, so the top level is the creator. He's the level of fire. The second level is air, and that's the level of Tao, 2. The third level is this level. It's the level of the four elements. And the fourth level is the 7 days, the 7 chakras, whatever we're calling them. Okay, so if we want to break down and figure out what these four elements are and how you get them from the Tao, then the way it turns out is that gods have DNA. Basically, they're the same as us. They have chromosomes and genes. Anyway, as above, so below. So this saying is accredited to Hermes, and it is, in my opinion, a statement of the fractal nature of reality. It's stating that things are self-similar at levels above and below any given level. It's stating that the rules that apply here are universal and apply at all levels. So it is a statement of the universality of the laws of nature. We have DNA, and so do the gods. Their DNA is simpler than ours, so it's much easier to map. And the children of Yin and Yang are all possible combinations of Yin and Yang. If we create a table of the different ways you can combine them, then that gives a list of all the possible children they could have, and that's the four. This is basically the simplest possible method that you could use, and even though it's quite obvious, I've not seen anyone else do this. I've not seen it, but if you have, let me know. So each child has a Yin and Yang property or chromosome here, the Yin chromosome and the Yang chromosome, and they have just one gene each. They can be either Yin or Yang, and so this gives us 4 possible children. So if we look at fire, which is will, it has a Yang gene on its Yin chromosome and a Yang gene on its Yang chromosome. And you can see how it works for the 4. So, what does this mean, and how does this actually tell us that this thing is fire? So, if we look at the Yin chromosome as the material property of the thing, and the Yang chromosome as the immaterial, non-tangible property of the thing, then we see that fire's matter property is intangible, and its intangible property is intangible. So you think about will, it has no form. It's something like, I want to drink. You haven't decided what kind of drink you're going to have, or how you're going to make it, or anything like that. That all corresponds to the air level. So at the will level, it's just an unformed desire. At the level of air, where you have plan, you separate your the options, and you say, okay, I'm not going to have coffee, I'm going to have a cup of tea. And obviously I know how to make a cup of tea because I've done it countless times before, so I know the plan for making a cup of tea. So its Yin chromosome is Yang, so its material aspect is intangible. It doesn't have any material thing that you can touch. You can't touch a plan. But its Yang property, its spiritual part, is fixed and solid. So this is essentially a thought, or like a Richard Dawkins meme. You can't touch it, but it's fixed. And this is what thoughts are. They're like a building made of ideas. They are fixed potentially for many generations. They're passed on between people. Water is the action or work level. It has 2 dimensions. Its Yin property is Yin, which means that it has a material aspect to it. Water is matter. but its spiritual property, or its active property, is active. So water isn't that fixed, it can flow around, it can take any shape. And Earth is the final one of the four. It has 3 dimensions, and both of its genes are yin. So its material property is yin, it is matter, and its active property is also yin and solid. So it's inactive, it doesn't change. So the combinations of yin and yang here in the genes basically do describe the properties of the 4 elements. It might be a bit of a stretch for people at this stage if you don't really understand the Tao and how all this stuff works. You need to understand the kind of connections and what these things are, because they're basically a set. Yin and Yang are a mathematical set of properties. They are mutually exclusive sets, and they're opposite, they're a mirror, but they're quite large. They contain a lot of different things. Anyway, so the first letters of the 4 spell F-A-W-E, which is pronounced the same, it's 4. So I'll use the names interchangeably, and I sometimes wonder if it's possible that our word 4 actually derives from 4, but you never know, it's kind of crazy. So I've kind of described how the combinations of yin and yang lead to the characteristics of the 4, and the rest of the web page here kind of goes into that. The 4 they do define 3 spatial dimensions. I may have talked about this before. Fire has no dimension, it's the unformed thought, I want a drink. Law has 1 dimension, right and wrong. Tea is right, and coffee is wrong. Action is making the drink, and matter is, well, consuming the drink, having the drink and consuming it. Okay, so that's your 3 dimensions. This is the universal pattern of creation. It's the grand unified theory, and the four elements are the forces of nature. Somehow they do all the heavy lifting. They are the powerhouse of the reality algorithm, and they appear to us as 2-dimensional things like forces. And forces can come in different forms. Falling from a tree creates a vector, but so does the appearance of a predator, i.e. lion. Run that way as fast as possible. Or political correctness, which creates a force to prevent speech or certain types of speech. Anything that elicits an action or even prevents an action could be considered a force. The water element also corresponds to the people in a society or a world, because the people are the agents of action. Thus the 4 are people somehow. They're gods because they're our providers, they're yang to us, but they are also people in some way. And we shall see how the 4 provide the different aspects of our reality, such as language. I think we've kind of covered the language one, but we'll do the senses in a bit. Anyway, thanks for watching. I think they'll cover it for now. I really want to actually do a video on something else at the moment, so I'll leave it there. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you soon.